Okay, Crooked, I appreciate you taking out the time to join us today. I know we had you back when we were just audio based, but I appreciate you taking out the time to come on now that we're going video.
Yeah, man, Reggie hit me up. You know what I'm saying? One thing about Reggie, man, when I was on death row, he always made sure I got my checks on time. You feel me? I'll never forget that. You feel me? So if he need me to come down and do a podcast, I'm here. You know?
Yeah. Okay. Before we get into questions, real quick for the viewers, Discovery Channel is going to put out a Who Killed Biggie and Tupac docu-series. It's going to have Reggie and Keefe D and Greg Caden's people on, so make sure to tune into that. But as far as the first question, Crooked, how did you originally hook up with Big C Style and do the Virgin Records thing?
Man, how did I hook up with Big Style? Well, you know what? I was doing I was doing my independent thing in Long Beach, and shout out to my homie Chucky Miller. Chucky Miller and Leonard Russell. They two football players from Long Beach. They graduated from Poly High and they went into the league. And they came back, and they wanted to do something in the community. So they built a studio on the east side, and they were trying to put talent out. They had something called Muscle Records. And everybody used to come through there because Chucky Miller, he throws parties in Long Beach. And he threw some historical parties that Snoop Dogg first time getting on the microphone in front of people at a club, them type of parties, he did that. And so he had a good reputation in the city, man, and people would come through the studio all the time. I was a teenager, and Big Style, he pulled up to the lab one time with Snoop and Daz and Corrupt, and it was around the time when Snoop had just got that Suburban. He was I think he had did something with St. Ives and got a Suburban or something like that. Um, but they pulled up and we had a cipher. You know what I mean? And once they said let's cipher, see they was on. I was just used to seeing Snoop pass through in the Cherokee, throw the chunk the deuces out the window, while me and my homies was sitting on the corner dreaming about getting to this rap shit. You know what I mean? And we was starving, we was hungry. And when they said that they was gonna do a cipher, I was like, I'm about to unload a full clip right now, because I was just that hungry. And by the time it came to me, I probably spit 100 bars nonstop. You know what I'm saying? And when they was walking down the stairs after leaving the studio, Snoop told, this is what Style told me. Snoop told Style, you want to be a top notch manager in this game, you need to manage that boy Crooked. You know what I'm saying? And that's when me and C Styles business relationship started. You know what I mean? And I happened to be walking down the block with my brother Dice on my way to to do some music with some of the producers who was in Warren G's camp. And I ain't had no car. Like I said, we was hungry. We was hustling on the street, petty hustlers. You feel me? Just trying to get by. And I was on my way to King Avenue, and C Style pulled up. He had a dude in the car that had a box of Church's chicken in his lap, and he had an S curl on top of his fade, and his name was LT Hutton. You know what I'm saying? And he was fresh out. Chicago, just out here trying to get into the music industry. So they both pulled up and they like, Crook, we've been looking for you. I'm like, what's cracking? It was like, yo, we got a compilation that we working on. It's called 19th Street Compilation. I was like, yo, all right. And he was like, I said, I'm on my way to go fuck with the homies Fudge Loke and you know what I mean, Keith Clark. And they was like, all right, well shit. If you hop in right now, you can get on this compilation. And I was like, all right. So I jumped in the car. We went to Soundcastle Studios, and I was like, yo, how many songs can I get on? Because it was almost done. He was like, as many as you want. I got on 10 songs that day because I told you I was real hungry. You know what I mean? So, you know, knocked the 10 joints down. And after that, my guy, Malik Levy, you know what I'm saying? He was doing Capital Punishment Records over at Capitol Records, and he was in the sessions like, yo, this shit is hard. So we had everybody from Long Beach on them compilations. Trady, You know, R.I.P. Badass, the Low Life Gangsters. You know what I'm saying? You know, everybody, Technique, the LBC crew, Bo Rock, everybody was on that compilation. And Snoop was the hottest thing in the industry, so people was really looking at Long Beach. And a couple of execs came in from Virgin Records. And it was really trippy, man, because I always been a syllable rhyme floor. You know what I mean? Like all of my homies, they was really straight to the point and blunt with their raps, but I was a little bit more imaginative, you know what I'm saying? I would say like I was into the art of wordplay. I was into the art of rhyming words, you know, and people like Coogee Rap and Rakim and the DOC and people like that inspired me, you know what I mean? So I was in there kind of out of like a fish out of water because everybody else was saying, yo, I jump out my 6'4" and shoot you in your head. You know what I'm saying? And that was just the rap, you feel me? But I was saying the same things they were saying, but I was saying it in a way to where it looked like I had a little bit of the dictionary in my vocabulary, you feel me? So sometimes they be like, I don't know what you saying, cuz, but that shit hard, you know what I'm saying? And that right there kind of made me feel like an underdog in a situation. But when the Zek came in from Virgin, he was like, yo, this shit is dope. But who the fuck is that Crooked kid? You know what I mean? And that's how me and Style moved over to Virgin, did our first deal on Virgin Records through New Tribe, you know, and Eric and them over there. They had already had the Loonies burning up everything with I Got Five on it. And, you know, that was my very first major deal. I went back and told the homies who signed me to the indie deal, look, I got this opportunity. They was like, we don't want to stop you. We want to see you grow. Go ahead. You know what I mean? And we just did it like that.
Okay. And then when you did the Virgin deal, you put out the single "Uh-Oh," right? Because I remember I think I had that vinyl at the time.
Oh,
But
shit.
yeah, way back. But you recorded an album, but it never came out on Virgin, right? Or did you not record an album?
Yeah, I recorded an album. Um, did the Uh-Oh joint. It was crazy too, man, because a lot of people think that's one of my best joints. And what happened was the engineer at Soundcastle, he was like, everybody left. I always stayed in the studio longer than everybody else. You know what I'm saying? And he left, everybody left, and it was just me and him in the studio real late at night. And he was like, hey man, I make beats. And I was like, for real? Because he just didn't look like the type of guy that made beats. And I was like, oh shit, okay, cool. He was like, yeah, man, I'll pay you if you jump on one of my beats. I was like, all right, shit, where's that? He pulled it up, and it was that classical uh-oh track, you know what I'm saying? And I jumped on that motherfucker. And it's the C, R to the uh-oh, K-E-D, you know what I'm saying? And it just was going off. And everybody was liking that shit. And next thing you know, they wanted to press the vinyl. But yeah, man, those times at Soundcastle, I can't, man, that shit crazy. What was your original question? You just took me all the way back, bro. I ain't thought about that shit in years.
No, just if you recorded it, or if you were planning on doing an album for them, and if you actually completed it, and they just never dropped it.
Yeah, we did an album, you know what I'm saying? And I had Daz and Corrupt on the first single, you know what I mean? And I had another joint called The Crook in Me with Nate Dogg, rest in peace, on there. You know what I'm saying? And we had a dope album. But what happened was something went on up top. So when I say that, they accused um, something happened with New Tribe, the production company that was the middleman, to where they wanted New Tribe off the entire label. You know what I'm saying? They just walked in the room and said, everybody on New Tribe, you're gone. You know what I'm saying? Like I heard it was some embezzlement shit. I don't know what the fuck was going on. You know what I mean? All I knew was I had an album coming out. I was happy as a motherfucker, and then the next day I didn't have an album coming out. You know what I'm saying? So one good thing I can say though is that they let me leave with my music. You know what I mean? They didn't say I was in debt to them in any kind of way with the money that they spent. And you know, that was cool. But I learned then right there that getting a record deal is not a home run. You know what I mean? A lot of young kids think when they get a deal, they hit a home run. I learned you really just on first base. You know what I mean? And it takes a lot of other things to make sure that you can score. You feel me? So yeah, it didn't never come out, but the shit was hard, man. The shit was hard.
Okay. Um, Did you go to the St. Ives commercial with Tupac and Snoop back in 95, 96? Did you
Yeah,
go to that or
I,
no?
w- I went I went to the studio when they were recording it. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? Cause and I had no idea that Snoop and Pac was gonna be in the studio recording that. You know, I'm just chilling on in Long Beach, and the homie Big Rand Dog and Style was like, "Hey, we finna ride up to the studio and fuck with the homie Dog." I said, "All right, cool, shit." I hopped in, and I think it was Larrabee North. I ain't sure, but you know, my homie Rand Dog, he like swole. You know what I mean? Benching 500. You feel me? He one of them, and it was crazy. We pulled up, and when we got out the car, Suge was coming out the door as Randog was going in the door. And that was the two biggest motherfuckers I ever seen simultaneously trying to get through a door. And they had this little look at each other, you know what I mean, in slow motion as they was going by each other. And I was like, man, what the fuck is going on? You know, what's about to go down up here? And you know, we walked inside and I saw Pop sitting at the I seen him sitting at the board, the mixing board. And I was like, oh shit, that's Pac. You know what I'm saying? Because coming up, Tupac was my one of my favorite rappers. He was in my top five when I was young. You know, he was in the top five, and I just his music resonated with me because I was poor and I lived below the poverty line growing up, and he made you feel like even if you poor, black, in the ghetto, you could still make something out of yourself. And his music talked to me in that way. So when I saw him in there that day, I was like, yo, this shit is real, man. I'ma just sit back here and I'ma learn and soak up some game and see how they record, look at some of their techniques, see how they talk to the engineer, and I'ma just, be in class right now. So I sat back, Snoop came through, what's up, what's happening? I said, what's happening in the park? We talked and all that. And then, they was doing that St. Ives commercial, you know what I mean? And it's an experience that I won't ever forget. Um, because I always heard that if you in the music industry and you shake Frank Sinatra's hand, then you made it. You know what I'm saying? And that's how I felt about shaking Pac's hand. You feel me?
Okay. Um, can you talk a little bit about how you were first approached to do the Dog Pound Records situation with Style and Daz?
Um, I think I don't know, cause like a lot of people was knocking on my door, man. I stayed in an apartment on Linden in Long Beach, and a lot of people was knocking on my door cause I was buzzing. You feel me? Like I had joints coming on the radio, underground joints on the radio, and I was doing all the shows you can do, and I was slanging mixtapes. You know what I mean? Making my own mixtapes. Go to Kinko's. You know what I mean? And print out the artwork. You feel me? Like the real story of a hip hop, head trying to get into the game. And so a lot of people was knocking on my door with opportunities, and I ain't really know who I wanted to move with. Style was the homie, and he was like, "Yo, I want you to come over here and do Dog Pound Records with us through Death Row." You feel me? And looking back, I was wondering, like, yo, I wonder how that would have ended up. If we would have saw that vision all the way through. You know what I'm saying? Because it didn't turn out like that. But they just knocked on my door and was like, yo, we want to go to Dog Pound Records. I had already, I think I already had did Corrupt Streets as a Mother. I did two joints on there. I was really Dog Pound affiliated already because, Style is one of the original Dog Pound members and that was the big homie. So, it was like, all right, let's do it, you know? And we just took off from there like, yo, let's get it cracking. You know what I mean? Until it all hell broke loose.
And then Reggie put out the ad announcing the label where it said like Death Row, Dog Pound for the New Millennium, and he had Nate Dogg and Snoop Dogg's names crossed out, and apparently that led to style. I don't know. You can tell your side of it, but apparently that led to them not being pleased with Death Row and wanting to cancel those plans. Did you have any insight of what when that happened?
I didn't even know that that was the reason.
Hmm.
You telling me something brand new. I didn't know that that was the reason. I thought that they got into a disagreement with Suge on a visit. You know what I'm saying? And I felt what was told to me is that they got into a disagreement with Suge on a visit, and then you know what I'm saying they was gonna part ways and do their own thing. You know what I'm saying?
That was Daz. That was Daz. So he heard that right as well too.
Yeah, cause I went up there that day to see Suge. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't even know that the homies had got into it a little bit. You know, they had words with Suge. I ain't even know that. You know what I'm saying? And when I got back to Long Beach, I went over to the homegirl Ann house where everybody used to kick it at, and I was like, "Yo, man, why y'all didn't tell me that y'all had words with Suge, and then just let me just walk up in there like it's all good?" You know what I'm saying? And you know, I was like, dog. It was like, oh, Styles start busting out laughing, talking about, I forgot you was coming up there too, man. Oh shit. Yeah, man, yeah. It went all bad, young crook. It went all bad. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, oh, okay. And they was like, it's all good though. You can come over here. And Daz was like, yeah, we can do this independent shit. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, dog, I can't do that, bro. You know, I love y'all to death, but I'm not cut out to keep making mixtapes and coming out the garage and the trunk, man. I gotta swing for the fences, man. You know, I was a kid with kids, dog. I had my first child when I was 15, 16, you feel me? So the whole time I was a father, you know what I mean? And I was out there grinding. And, you know, Suge offered me a deal on that visit. You feel me? Like, he was like, yo. So I'm like, you know, I got to take this opportunity. I can't let this opportunity pass me by because, you know, you guys had a disagreement. And I think the disagreement stemmed from him talking to Daz about, you know, falling back on rapping and producing and just produce or something like that. You know, I wasn't there, so I don't know exactly. I'm just telling you what, you know, people told me when I inquired about it, like, yo, what happened? You know what I mean? But you know, I was like, yo, I gotta take this opportunity because, you know, I, this is what I got into the game for, to put my music out to the world, you know, and Death Row is one of the biggest labels to ever do it, you know what I mean, and it's a huge opportunity. I can't just pass on it. Plus, you know, they had already seen success with Death Row. You know what I mean? So they had already been there before. So once you've already seen success, it might be like, oh, well, I could go do this on my own. But at that point in my career, I hadn't seen much commercial success at all. So it was like, you know, I'm trying to see what y'all saw. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, just put the chain on, feel me? And you know, that's what it is.
Okay. And then when you did go to visit Suge and he was trying to get you to sign directly to Death Row as opposed to Dog Pound, did he tell you what his plans for you were or what he envisioned, you know, your time at the label being and what he could do for you?
Yeah, he was like, yo, I can get you a Grammys, I can get you on billboards, I can get you, you know, he told me everything, you know what I'm saying? Like, shit, he said he could do it all. You know what I mean? And who am I to say that he can't? It's Suge Knight. You know, he had built this empire. You feel me? So he was telling me that he could do all that. And I was like, yeah, man, I want to do all that. But, you know, I want to be rich too. You know what I'm saying? I want to get money, man. You know what I mean? And that was one thing that was really on my mind because of, like I said, where I come from, my background. So, you know, he was like, oh, don't worry about that. And he was like, you're going to be able to rest your neck. You know what I'm saying? And kick your feet up. And I was like, all right, cool. Let's do it, you know?
Okay. And then once you sign, from what Reggie told me, they put you in a house in Long Beach. They gave you a CL 500. What were some other things that came as a perk to signing your contract that maybe weren't as expected as you thought beforehand?
Well, the biggest perk to me was they had a reputation for have owning the artist publishing. And the fact that I had ownership in my publishing, in that deal was the biggest perk to me because everybody was telling me, oh, you go over there, they're going to have 100% of your publishing. They're going to do this, they're going to do that. You know what I mean? And, you know, they would stand up about negotiating with me in my contract. You feel me? So that right there was the biggest perk to me. It was cool, to hop in the Benz, you know what I mean? Hop in the Navigator, you know what I mean? And move around. When you're young, those things they feel fly. They are fly, but they're also a target. And that's what I talk to young rappers about today. You know, them same streets that saw you driving a hoopty, you want to go back and flex a little bit. Like, look, I'm in a Bentley now. You know what I'm saying? And that temptation to go back and go back. You know what I mean? Not understanding that it's people whispering around you, like, yeah, we gonna get him. Oh, he think he fly. He think he flossing on us. All right, we gonna get him. Like, not understanding that everybody's not happy for your success. And you got to be super aware. So, those things are cool, but those are the same things that got me into a lot of things and taught me a lot of lessons as a youngster. You know what I mean? Tough learn lessons too. But as far as the perks go, I got to learn the business, and I got to, be around the same people that engineered Tupac and Snoop sessions. To me, that's important because your music is only as good as your engineer sometimes, in my opinion. I know people throw out music right now and they don't care if the background vocals is shouting louder than the main vocal, and they don't care if the kick is not hitting right. But I care about those things because I care about the art. So to get in there and be able to work with the same sound engineers that Tupac worked with, that Snoop worked with, that Dr. Dre worked with, you know what I'm saying? To get in there and chop it up with Butch, about and get game on the music business and sonics of the music business because he's an outstanding percussionist. See, these things are the valuable things. The business is the valuable thing that you can learn. I asked Suge a lot of questions when we was moving around. You know what I'm saying? Because he saw a lot. He went deep into the industry and he saw a lot on many levels. Some levels that some people will never see. So I asked him a lot of questions to try to get my business IQ together. You know what I'm saying? And those were the super perks. When I left Death Row Records, I felt like nobody in the industry could fuck with me as far as on the business side of things. Nobody, after the things that I learned and been through over there, I had so much confidence in my ability to handle business situations with any other label afterwards. So those were the perks to me.
All right. Can you tell me about the first time I saw, an old podcast series that you'd done back in 2018, and you talked a little bit about the first time you went up to the office and what that experience was like. Would you mind retelling that story about the first time going up to the office after you had signed?
Man, I can't really, it's kind of fuzzy, but I just remember Death Row had a reputation. You feel me? So it wasn't like I was going up to Tommy Boy Records. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like I was about to slide up into Def Jam. You know what I mean? No, this was the Black Iron Gate. This gate opened up and revealed, lowriders, pit bulls, gang members, you know what I'm saying? Armed security guards. You feel me? It was just a whole different energy. You know what I mean? And the energy made me feel like I was still in the hood. You know what I'm saying? To where it was like, I'm in Beverly Hills in a building that no other African American owns a building of this size at that time in that location, you know, and they conducting business and making millions of dollars. But I still feel that energy. I feel as if I'm on the east side of Long Beach at the homie's house or at King Park or, You know what I'm saying? Somewhere like that. You know, it's real gangsters and real people who mean real business right here. You know what I mean? And I'm cool in that environment too. You know what I'm saying? Because I grew up in that environment. I had no choice. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's the only environment my mama could afford to put us in. So, you know, it was just different because I was in Beverly Hills and I was at a building that was responsible for putting out some of the greatest albums in his hip hop history, you know, and they still meant business, you know what I mean, when it came to the street shit. Feel me? So, yeah, I was like, damn, it's really smart for me to keep a firearm on me. Well, these niggas might try to take my head off and I don't even know why.
Okay, so after you do your contract with Death Row and you're no longer Dog Pound Records, you're direct to Death Row. You had the talk with Daz and C Style that you were telling me about how they said let's do it independent. You chose to go the Death Row route. Um, when did you start to experience any sort of negativity from Daz and from that side as far as you moving to Death Row and not going the independent route with him?
Well, I think that in the animal kingdom, they the predators kind of prey on whatever's in the closest proximity. You feel me? So, me being in Long Beach, from Long Beach, anytime something came out of Death Row Records, say a diss record dropped, somebody did a diss record on Too Gangsta for radio or something. Anytime there was bad blood, they would try to come at me because I was within arm's reach. You feel me? So, um, it was crazy. I had a conversation with Suge, and he was like, "Man, you need to go ahead and diss the fuck out of Snoop." And I said, "Yo, Suge, I don't want to do that because it's gonna look like I'm just like these other guys that just wind up dolls. You feel me? And toy soldiers. I just, I just, I don't know if it's time for me to do that. You know what I mean?" He threw a couple jabs at me, and I was like, I don't know if it's time. And Suge told me something. He said, "Yo, don't worry about it, because they going to come at you for being with me, and then you're going to have to respond." And he was right about that. You know what I'm saying? He was absolutely right about that. And, you know, it was it was a learning experience, man, being in the city, doing all the things that I did for my city, and being at odds with a lot of people. You feel me? Like, not just Daz and the rappers, because you gotta understand the entourages, the people that hang around. These are the people that want to get points. They want to say, "Yeah, we caught Crook slipping at the Lakewood Mall and we stomped him out and took his chain." They want to be able to take that kind of news back. You know what I'm saying? So I gotta make sure that they can't take that news back. You feel me? And it was to a point where they found out that I'm going to stand on my business. You feel me? And it got to that point, and a lot of people was like, "Yo, we might as well accept that he's on death row because he's over there by himself as far as Long Beach go. He's over there by himself, and he's still living in the city, and he's still going to the Hop, and he's still going to Lakewood Mall, and he's still at the Delamo swap meet, and he's still cruising around the east side in a CL 500, and he ain't going nowhere." And they had to accept that because I was down to stand on everything that I stood for. And that's what ultimately gave me some respect, not being, you know, moved. I went to the funerals. Some of the homies would pass away, and I go to the funeral, and everybody look at me like, "What are you doing here?" Certain niggas. You know, you over there on that side with them. What are you doing here at the funeral? So I had to be strapped in the church service when I was on death row. You know what I'm saying? I had a bulletproof vest of all kinds. Even though rest in peace Buntry told me when it's your time, take that vest off. But I was paranoid. People was making threats. People was following me home. People was following me through the malls. People was running up on me. People was backing up off me. You know what I'm saying? It was a lot going on. And it wasn't no Instagram and Twitter, and it wasn't anything like that where it would be on World Star Hip Hop, but a lot of shit went on behind those scenes. And that's what ultimately I think. And the other day I was talking to a real reputable from Long Beach, and he told me, he said, that's why we respect you, because you held your own. Because a lot of people, dangerous people, you know, they didn't like the fact that you was on death row, and you made it out, and you held your own against anybody that came up to you, and that's why we respect you. And I said, you know what, you should just respect me, homie, for my music, for my craft, you know. But I understand in the gang mentality, sometimes you gotta, some people who are, some of the members, they feel like you gotta do some shit to get their respect. You know what I'm saying? You gotta do some shit to earn their respect. So I could feel that. But things fell apart because I was partying with these dudes, man. I was young. I loved Daz Dillinger. I loved Superfly. We got a song called I Ain't Shit Without My Homeboys on Streets Is a Mother album, Corrupt. You feel me? And that was another life lesson for me. You do something that people don't agree with, and it can get ugly. Just because you chose to go a different route. Not because you tried to get at their woman, or you tried to steal from them, or you disrespected their children or their wife. No. Just because I made the decision to stay on death row. Everybody can't be under Snoop Dogg in Long Beach. Some people got to strike out on their own. You know what I'm saying? And that's all I was doing. And I learned that even people that you close to might switch on you if they feel like, yo, you doing something that they don't want you to do. You know what I mean? But we good today. Me and Daz, we cool today.
You mentioned Buntry giving you advice about stuff. Can you talk about the time period at death row when a lot of Suge's associates started to, which we later found out it was all, you know, kind of their own group turning on each other, but a lot of people started to pass away, and Buntry was one of them that got killed, and you did you were part of a tribute song that was made and played at his funeral. Can you tell me about that time at death row when a lot of that stuff was going on, when a lot of Suge's associates were getting killed?
Yeah, man, it felt like a dark time. You know what I'm saying? We was up at the studio drinking and having push-up contests. You know what I'm saying? Eastwood, me, Suge, Buntry. It was a lot of us. And we was at the studio. And you know when you have those push-up contests where you put like a glass of liquor on your back and you try to do the push-ups and don't let the cup fall? You know what I'm saying? So everybody laughing while they trying to do these push-ups with the, you know, keep the cup still and pouring more alcohol into the cup. Do some more then, you know, and everybody's having fun. Corrupt is in there. We making music. You know what I mean? And then like the day after or a couple days, it might have been the very next day, but it seemed like that. That's how it feels. I went to the office and I seen Cedric, and he just started breaking down crying. And I said, man, what's going on? And he said, they got him. And I said, got who? And he said, Montreal. And that shit hit me in the chest. You know what I'm saying? Because I spent a lot of time with Buntry, talking to Buntry. Because, you know, Buntry started managing one of the guys that I brought to death row, Darren Vegas. You know what I mean? And I would talk to Buntry about a lot of stuff because he's seen a lot. You know what I mean? So he would always give me all kind of advice, all types of advice. You know what I'm saying? Like when we would go out of town, some of the other artists, and I ain't throwing no shade, I'm just living in my truth. They'd be, in the suites or wherever they at, and I'd be down there with Buntry and them. You know what I'm saying? Wherever they at. You know what I mean? And he would give me a lot of game, like, yo, this is what you need to do. Blah, blah, blah. You need to do this. You need to do that. And I'd be like, man, how was Suge, man, coming up, man? And he'd be like, oh, yeah, man, me and Suge used to boom, boom, boom. Like, he would tell me these stories and all that. So, I was fond of Buntry, man. You know what I'm saying? I really had love for Buntry because, you know, he took his time out to talk to a youngster, man. And he didn't have to. And so when I heard about that and all that stuff was happening and we did the tribute song, now Red was on there from the Booyah Tribe. Now Gangsta Red is rest in peace too. You know what I'm saying? When we did the song, man, it was just the least that I could do to try to immortalize his name in my own way. You know what I mean? It was the least that I could do. And yeah, man, it was some dark times. I mean, I looked at the newspaper, and you just keep seeing people dying that you was just in the same room with, you know? And that just heightens my antennas too, because I'm one of the main artists on this label. And, I'm not going to get too deep into it, but I was given a warning. And I talked to Suge. Suge was, for some reason, I think he was in the county, a violation or something. Went up there. It was one of them, phone to glass conversations. And I told him what was popping. And I said I was given a warning. And it was some serious shit. And he was like, yo. Basically, he told me stay dangerous. You know what I'm saying? And so I was like, yo, I have to up everything. My awareness, what I'm doing, where I'm at. You know what I mean? Circle the house before I could pull in. All that type of shit. You know what I mean? And it was a shame, man, because Death Row Records is just one of the greatest labels of all time. And there's so much other things that could have happened. But it is what it is, you know what I'm saying? It was some dark times, my brother, and I send my condolences to everybody. I ran into Buntry's son years ago, you know what I mean, chopped it up with him, you know what I mean? And I send my condolences to everybody that was lost, and to their families, you know what I'm saying? Because even like Hen Dog, I had just talked to him, you know what I mean? And heard about what happened. It's we deal with a lot of trauma. And I dealt with a lot of trauma before I even signed to Death Row. You know what I mean? The first time somebody tried to take me off this earth, I was 15. You know what I mean? And, I was spared, but, them bullet holes, you know what I'm saying, tell a true story. And it's a lot of trauma that we hold and we don't let go of because we were never taught to go to therapy. We were never taught to talk to people and to communicate with people about our trauma. But it'll show up in other ways and it'll come out. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm real thankful for the music, because I think that was my medicine during those days, bro. Was just being able to go in the studio and go in the booth and let it out.
Okay. I remember when, early on when you had signed, we put out a press release on the Death Row site that said your album Untouchable was coming, and it had like I love the Ghetto to Death on it, Dollars in My Hand, stuff like that, which later we found out was an album that you did with Darren Vegas and some other people. Kind of, I don't know if it was right before you got on Death Row or it was right, right as you were getting on. But can you talk about that album and why that one never came out?
Well, that album we were working on right as I was going into Death Row. It was me, Jim Giddum, you know what I'm saying, Darren Vegas. We had a production company called 777, and we would, produce music and all that. And we worked on that album, and the shit was coming out dope, and I felt it, and I thought it was a dope album. You know what I mean? And then when I got on the road, it was like, yo, let's finish up this project. So we finished that project up. And then when I went to go see Suge, I used to play the songs over the phone for Suge. You know what I'm saying? He was still incarcerated at this time in Mule Creek. You know what I'm saying? In Ione. And I used to play that joint, over the phone, like, yo, peep this out, peep that out, peep this out. He like, yeah, that shit sound hard. You know what I'm saying? And I was excited. And then when he got out, he was like, look, Crook, I know you did a lot of hard work on that album, but now that I'm home, I want to be a part of the experience of making this album with you. I want to give you whatever insights I got. I want to be in the studio with you when you're making this album. And I was like, so what are we going to do with the other album? Because, I was like, damn, I just did an album. He was like, well, don't even trip. I said, well, maybe I could mixtape that or something. You know what I'm saying? Because I wasn't opposed to that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure that it was a whole different environment creating Say Hi to the Bad Guy. When we did the other Untouchable record, he was incarcerated still. We were in Huntington Beach in a studio that we could afford. You know what I mean? And then when he came home, now we had track record with an SSL board. You feel me? So it did level up. And I wasn't mad about that making all that music because I would have made it anyway. So it's like, all right, we leveling up. We're gonna do it this way, and we just didn't run with that album. And I didn't even know what the distribution channels were at that time anyway. You know what I'm saying? When he first came home, so.
Can you tell me the differences of Death Row with Suge locked up as opposed to when Suge was out? Because I know, when you signed, Suge was locked up, and then he came home. I think like maybe like a year later. But can you tell me the differences, positive and negative?
Um, I think when he came home, the level of attention increased because he was home. You feel me? So, we went from, doing our thing, making music, to double XL magazine cover shoots. You feel me? It just bumped up when he came home. And yin and yang, there's going to be positives, there's going to be negatives. I'm trying to really think, like, what was the super negatives. Like I said, when he was up there, Reggie was at the helm, and Reggie was making sure my checks was on time. You know what I'm saying? That's just what it is. You know what I mean? And not to say when Suge came home, my checks wasn't on time, but it was an easier process. You know what I mean? But then, as me and Suge's relationship grew, I was able to hit him on his cell phone and be like, yo, this and this and that, and we did business directly like that. And it was really cool because a lot of these artists, they can't call the CEO on the cell phone. They can't do it. They sign you, they hold up a big ass contract, and they shake your hand in a photo. You leave out of the room, you go down the elevator, and you never see them motherfuckers again unless you do about 2 or 3 million records sold. You know what I'm saying? And that's just the game. So I appreciated the fact that I could call Suge and be like, yo, Suge, man, I need something right now. I need to hold something. You know what I mean? And he'd be like, yo, come up to the house. Come up to the office. You know what I'm saying? Or, yo, Suge, what's happening? What you doing today? Oh, man, we about to go over here to Beverly Hills Hotel. What you doing? Just that line of communication being open was just something that I haven't witnessed much, you know, in the industry, you know what I'm saying, between artist and CEO. You feel me? So that was positive. I mean, I feel like the negative parts were a lot of people didn't want to see him successful again on that level. They never wanted to see him have that much power again, in my opinion. And it seemed like he was punching his way back through the industry. And it was a different landscape because now, when you went away, it wasn't as many moguls and indie CEOs having success in hip hop. You know what I mean? Like, when he went away, we just saw Suge and Puff. And we knew Russell was the godfather. You know what I'm saying? And then when he came back, you got Master P, Baby and Slim, Jay-Z. You know what I'm saying? You got a lot of people out here making big moves. You know, it was a different environment. It was a different landscape. So I expect it to be a little rough for somebody just getting home. You know what I mean? And the negative parts, only thing that was negative to me, bro, was I couldn't get my album out. You know? Because that was my whole reason for being on Death Row. I wanted to get an album out to the world. I wanted it all to be worth something, all the years of me grinding as an artist in the underground. I wanted to show the world that the West Coast still has great artists to offer in the hip hop culture. I wanted to hit goals, make moves, you know? And back then I felt it was a young man's sport. So when your time is winding out, because we used to laugh at motherfuckers who rap while they was 30 years old back then. That was a fucking joke. Like, you still rapping and you 30? It sound crazy now, but back then that's what the wave was. So I'm like, my time is ticking. You know what I'm saying? I need to put this music out. I don't want to go back to the barbershop in Long Beach and be telling war story glory like, yeah, back when I was on the road, boy, you see me in that Benz, didn't you? You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's all I got to say, and then go jump in a fucking Honda and go clock in somewhere. Nah, that's not the life I want. You know? So I was trying to get the music out, man, because I knew that people couldn't fuck with me lyrically. And I knew if I had a machine like Death Row really, really just pushing me, that fact would come to the light. I knew they couldn't. They were scared of me. They wouldn't barely do songs with me because they didn't want to get outshined. They wouldn't barely invite me to motherfucking video shoots because I was slim. I wasn't this. I had the braids to the back. I'm whipping. You know what I'm saying? The chicks is on it. You feel me? My homie Big Style, like, you a star. You know what I'm saying? And I just wanted that machine to push, because I'm going to show them I'm ready, like Kobe being in the gym 2 hours before the rest of the team and 2 hours after the team leave. I'm ready on that level. My pen is moving. You know what I'm saying? And I was just really amped to just put some music out, man. And now the negative part for me, it was some other things that went on. You know, I just told you about some of the shit happening in the streets and boom, boom, boom and all that. But just with the label, I just wanted to put the album out. That was just it. You know, the rest of it was all positive to me. I learned a lot. You know what I mean? I gained relationships and resources. Like I said, I felt fully confident in any other label situation. I just came from Death Row, man. Y'all finna try to run this on me? Please. That ain't gonna work. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I could make it on Death Row, what you think I'm gonna do over here? You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna thrive over here. So I was very grateful for that life lesson that I learned over there, bro. And I just see the positivity.
Okay. Can we talk a little bit about the Say Hi to the Bad Guy album? The single, we put out the single So Damn Hood. Um, but can you tell me, was there a completed album in your eyes, as far as this is my album sequence, these are the songs, this is what I want to come out, or did it not go? Because I know you recorded the material, but did it go as far as, I know you had the artwork too, but did it go as far as having the track list, having everything packaged, ready to go?
Listen, man. Pour me some Henny if you would. Let's get good. Homie, I'm so damn hood. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, before I answer that, you gotta imagine the studio is packed full of people that you wouldn't want to meet in a dark alley, okay? And everybody's partying, and the beat drops. Bum, 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 and everybody like, yeah. And I go in the booth and I say, pour me some Henny if you would. Let's get good. Homie, I'm so damn hood. And next thing you know, Cisco walk in and he say, let me sing that part. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, all right. And he goes in and puts the microphone up in the air and points it down toward the ground and gets under it to project his voice upward. And he just belts out some of the craziest notes you ever heard. And next thing I know, I'm looking around the room and everybody is dancing. And I'm like, yo, we got something. We got something. That was one of the greatest moments in my career. You know what I'm saying? And when we started to put the album together, we did the artwork. We had the album sequence. Suge pulled, his favors from different people. Yo, man, come get down with Crook. Blah, blah, blah. We put the album together. Next thing I know, I come to the office. And, the album artwork is on a monster truck. And they like, you see the monster truck? We ready. And I'm like, all right, let's get it. I got the billboard sitting on top of the office. Kids coming home from school, looking up at the billboard, cracking up, laughing at this cartoon figure of me sitting on the toilet stool saying I'm the shit. You feel me? It was popping. And then all of a sudden, it wasn't. And I was an artist. See, today, I'm a businessman too. So I could sit down at the table and understand everything that could be the reason why the album is not coming out. But back then, I had no clue. I think I was told that Suge didn't want to do it with E1 because maybe he felt like the numbers weren't going to be good enough, or they told me a lot of different things. People around the office, like, you know what I'm saying? But all I know is we went to New York and bumped that shit on Angie Martinez's show, and people called up like, the row is back. Period. You feel me? The calls came in. She was like, let me run that back. And ran that back. You hear me? So I was ready. But I can't even answer the question. Like, I don't know exactly why. But yeah, the album was ready to go.
Okay. While you're at the row, Corrupt and Left Eye. Well, Corrupt comes back, Left Eye joins. Can you tell me your experiences and any memories working with Left Eye when she came?
You know what I loved about Left Eye? She brought a whole nother energy to the row. You know what I'm saying? She brought a whole nother energy to the row where she would be like, you taking care of your health? You know what I mean? It was a nurturing energy that she brought. You feel me? And I remember she had Dr. Sebi come to the office, and I had always read about Dr. Sebi. You know what I'm saying? Because I grew up on the east side. We had a bookstore on Atlantic and Hill, and the bookstore was owned by my homeboy Elijah from Watts, and he stuffed that bookstore full of consciousness, books written by people who were very conscious. And even though we were young and poor and rowdy, he made sure that we learned. So I was reading about Dr. Sebi and how he had cured HIV in somebody. You know what I'm saying? So that was my first question. How did you cure HIV? You know what I'm saying? And we had this long conversation, but that was because Left Eye brought him up to the office, you know what I mean, and allowed me to sit and talk with somebody who I had already read about. She had that kind of a spirit to where it was like, yo, you don't need to eat this and that. You need to watch this and that. Like, she actually cared about the health of the artist at the on the label, and I thought that was pretty dope. Working with her was dope too. We wrote songs together. You know what I'm saying? We did a lot of shit together. Um, I was on my way. We was going to Atlanta. Me and Suge. I can't remember exactly who else was there. And I know we caught a plane to Atlanta, and we were supposed. I was thinking to myself, when I get here, I'm gonna talk to Left Eye about this song I got called Hot Grease that I have penned for. You know what I'm saying? It was about throwing hot grease on your boyfriend after catching him cheating, kind of like the stories from the old days and all that. So, you know, I had this song, and then when we got off the plane, everybody's two-way pagers. That's back in the two-way pager days. So y'all young cats, y'all know the struggles that we had. You know what I mean? Y'all got touch screens and shit. You know, me too. But I'm just saying, like, the two-way pager days. You know, that's all that y'all ain't even knowing. But yeah, you know, everybody's two ways started blowing up, saying that Left Eye had got into a bad accident. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't good. And I just remember walking through the airport, me and Suge, like, wow, this shit is fucked up. And then we got the news, and it was just devastating, man, to me, because I was like, damn, you know what I'm saying? Like, she just came over there not too long ago. You know what I mean? We had a lot of plans to make more music, and she was a real creative mind, and I like to connect with people who are real creative. You know what I mean? That's my shit. So I'm like, damn, man. And you know, she got family, and it was just all bad. But I do remember the XXL magazine cover shoot in Culver City. Jonathan Mannion shot that. You know, shout out to Jonathan Mannion. He's one of the, you know, greats when it comes to hip hop photography. And he shot that cover, you know what I mean? And Suge pulled all the Benzes in there, you know what I mean? And threw on the chinchilla, you feel me? And, you know, we was Avorexed up, and you know, Left Eye, we in there just like, yo, we about to take the game by storm. Y'all ready? So, you know, I choose to remember those times, man. Those were some good times. We had laughs, and it was really dope.
Okay.
Hey, John, one second here.
Okay.
One second.
You go ahead.
You sure? You good? It might be a minute.
Mm.
He's like, yeah.
What's good with it, Nitty? My man done fell asleep over there. Nigga, they go pick up that
No, he's good.
that snoring on Bomb first,
I heard
baby.
a few.
All right, let's go.
You good, John?
Okay. You were always good about, like you mentioned, not going into the diss stuff, you know, as far as Death Row's known kind of rivalries with Snoop and Dre and all that stuff. You were always good about not going that route. Can you tell me about the first time that you hear the Snoop Pimp Slap record, and what motivated you to do your response? It never got released, but to do a response back.
Well, My whole thing was, man, we from Long Beach, right? And I'm more of a peacemaker. Like when it was dudes in my city doing shows and any kind of disagreement would happen, I would be the one that's like, yo, hold up. Let's sit the two OGs down together from both sides. You know what I'm saying? And y'all, let's talk this out. You know what I mean? Before this shit get flipped over, because it can get ugly. So I was always on some shit like that. That's my nature. You know what I'm saying? And I'm proud of that. You know, that's something to be proud of to me, even in this era of all these fake tough guys and gang member rappers. You know what I'm saying? Like these rappers that, you know, I get it. They selling what they selling. They marketing what they market. It ain't no shots, but you know, I take pride in the fact that I stopped a venue from getting shot up because people respect me and love me. You know what I'm saying? So that's just who I am. So when Snoop, he came at me on the mixtape, Welcome to the Church House, one of the mixtapes, you know, they was like, they made a little skit. So this dude had said, yo, you got that new crooked eye? And they was like, crooked eye? And they just stomped him out, you know what I'm saying, on the skit, you know, for even bringing my name up, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, okay, that's one. All right, cool. You know, but I'm still on the east side. It don't matter. I'm bending corners. It's like, you know, in real life, I'm still out here. You know what I'm saying? But then another, you know, the pimp slap came. And he was like, you know, them is crumbs off my table. And, you know, niggas around the city was like, oh, you heard Dogg? He trying to serve you, you know what I'm saying? And all that type of shit. And, you know what I mean? I was like, all right, man, let me put my MC hat on, because at the end of the day, you know, MCing is a gladiator sport too. You know? I just know that it goes further than just the wax when you dealing with California, especially, everywhere now. But back then, California had a real reputation for taking it off wax too. You know what I'm saying? So I like, let me put my MC hat on, and I came out. How the fuck can a dope rap start with for shizzle? And then I just took it off from there. You know what I'm saying? And it's out. People done heard it and all that kind of stuff. And it was like, you know, I was just defending my reputation as a MC and as a man. I was just defending myself as a man because I didn't send the first shot. And I told Suge that I wouldn't send the first shot. You know what I mean? Now, how many people on Death Row Records would tell Suge Knight that, nah, man, I'm not going to send the first shot at them? You know what I'm saying? Not many. You feel me? So I felt like I stood on my business. You know what I mean? And I represented the city. Like, nah, I'm not going to go against my city. You know what I mean? Even though I'm over here on Death Row, I'm going to make classic music as I can. The most classic music that I can. And I'm going to create the dopest art that I can. And I'm going to scream y'all praises for putting me in a position to have a career. But I'm not going to go against my own city right now. I don't feel like that's going to be a good look. You know what I mean? And I sat on this man's couch playing Super Nintendo with him, you know, as a teenager. You feel me? I was at Snoop house when the cars were getting towed away. You know, when he left the label. I was sitting on his couch watching them get put up on All-Star flatbeds. You feel me? So I got a lot of history with Snoop. So I was like, I'm not going against Snoop. I'm not going against my city. You know, I'm just not doing that. And then, just like Suge said, he's like, oh yeah, you will. Because they're going to keep throwing shots at you because you with me. And then you're going to have to respond. And then I had to respond. And he was right about that. You know what I'm saying? I had to respond because, you know, we ain't going to just sit around and be suckers either. That's what's not going to happen. So it was like, yo, I had to do it. I did it, you know what I'm saying? And I think it came out dope. And I feel like if Snoop bought, you know, all of that music over there, I don't know what he has. He might have access to that song right now.
Okay.
And then during your time at Death Row, you were able to work on a Tupac project as far as your production company, 777, did a couple songs on the Tupac Until the End of Time album. Can you tell me about that experience?
Yeah, man. So, you know, we got the call, and it was a privilege and an honor, of course. It's Pac, and we went somewhere, and they had a bunch of masters tape though. You know what I mean? 2-inch tape. You know, my producers and rappers from the '90s know what I'm talking about, and they was playing different acapellas of songs that were potential candidates for a remix. So we picked out Happy Home, and we picked out Why You Turn on Me or something like that, and went in the studio. And I don't really play. I used to have this around this time. I had an MP, I had a Kurzweil, I had a bunch of production equipment, but I always step aside when somebody is better than me. You know what I mean? I don't try to get the credit just because I could put this beat together and I could have all the credit on this. I'm a team player. My god brother Jim Giddum is like, you know, Prince on the keys or Liberace. He just knows his way around all keyboards. You know what I'm saying? So have him in there. Darren Vegas, he's a great drum programmer. You know what I'm saying, and things of that nature. He's a good producer too. But we just play to our strengths. But I always knew the vibe that songs needed. I always knew the vibe because you cut me and I bleed hip hop. I started off as a fucking kid at a talent show rapping Rapper's Delight and winning a talent show when I was 5 years old. I started in the studio at 8 years old, my first time ever recording. So I'm super tapped in to hip hop from the history of it all the way to now. So I know the vibe and I'm a big Pac fan. So I know the vibe it needs to be. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes a producer will go in there and do a song and they didn't do the right vibe for the lyrics, and I don't like that. And I think that's the reason why a lot of the fans of artists who are deceased are upset when labels put albums out on them, because that's not the vibe that they would have been on if they were still here. Now I know you have to update it and adjust to the times and things of that nature, but you can still capture the same energy if you know what the fuck you're doing. So I was very good at that, at capturing the energy and the vibe and telling them, nah, wait a minute, don't you overplaying right here, my brother. Don't go crazy right here. We need to let his voice breathe on this particular part, because listen to the pattern that he's using right now. He's in a different pocket right here, so we need to make sure that there ain't too much instrumentation going on, drowning him out while he's trying to say what he's trying to say right here. Or, we need to do a melody like this or like that. So, long story short, we went in there, and I think it was an armed guard, man, guarding these treasures. You know what I'm saying? If you in the same room with a library of Tupac acapellas, you are in the Smithsonian. You are in Fort Knox, where they have all the gold. That's where you at. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know if a lot of people understood that, but I understood the assignment. That's why Happy Home could have been a radio hit. If you go listen to that shit on To the End of Time, that shit that we produced, I wrote the chorus. There's a bridge part in there. I wrote that too. You know what I'm saying? I was shooting for the stars, just like how Pac would have. You know what I'm saying? In my mind. You feel me? And yeah, man, it was a great experience. And you know what flipped me the fuck out? And I didn't even realize it. I probably knew it back then, but I went on a whole. I did a lot of shit since Death Row. So, you know what I'm saying? Some things be slipping my mind, but I was in my office the other day and I looked inside the motherfucking Until the End of Time hard copy CD cover, the artwork. And when you open that bitch up, Say Hi to the Bad Guys right in that motherfucker. Coming soon, right inside the fucking artwork. I was like, damn. You know, I'm still cool enough to be a fan of all this shit. I feel like everybody else put on a fucking front like they too. I don't even know if it's just arrogance or no humility or you know what I'm saying, but they not a fan no more. It's just like everything. Yeah, I was in the cover, you know what I mean, of Tupac. Nah, fuck that. I was in the cover of Tupac shit. You know what I'm saying? One of the goats of this shit. And I already know I'm one of the goats when it comes to bar for bar. I know that. I'm comfortable in my skin with that. So I ain't tripping. I can give flowers to everybody. You know what I'm saying? That's one of the motherfucking goats on Mount Olympus. And I was sitting in that motherfucker immortalized. To anybody who got that fucking hard copy CD they see, say hi to the bad guy in there. Even though the album didn't come out, it still came out.
And Suge was in jail, so thank you. You're welcome.
Ah, Reggie. So that was a Reggie call?
You know it. That nigga was in jail. He wasn't thinking like that then. Even though he had a green light.
He could have stopped it, so we got to give him that.
Exactly.
Yeah, we got to give him that. He could have stopped it. Yeah, man, that shit still bang to the day.
No. And speaking
That shit was dope. Yo, listen, man, I got accolades, bro. We in what year we in right now? When did that come out?
That came out in 2001.
Oh.
No, that wasn't 99.
No, 2000, 2001.
2000, 2001.
Yeah.
Listen,
Hey,
we still.
Don't forget to ask him about the Shiny video. Did you remember that one?
Yeah.
I got it written down.
Yo, listen. We in 2001 right now, talking about my accolades. We got 21 more years to go. I've already did songs with Tupac, and we ain't even talked about the other 2 decades.
I know.
That's some hard shit right there.
I'm gonna have fun editing this one up.
Oh man.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of Tupac and you appreciating his work, can you tell me, did you see where T-Pain made these crazy comments about Tupac if he were alive today, that he would have gotten destroyed lyrically in today's atmosphere, and that if he were around during the social media era that he would have gotten killed quicker? Did you see any of that or not so much?
I saw some of it on Twitter, I saw a little bit of that. I just strongly disagree with him. That's all. It ain't nothing big. I just disagree with him. I just feel like a lot of people speak on Tupac's lyricism that don't understand lyricism themselves fully. You know what I mean? Like when you talk about lyricism, you got to talk about, bring out the report card. Okay, is this dude hitting? Does he have a punchlines in his toolbox? Okay, does he have metaphors in his toolbox? Okay, how about his voice projection? Okay, does he have different patterns and different pockets and rhythms that he can flow in, cadences? Okay, we got that covered. Can he storytell? All right. Can he bring out your emotions and transfer his energy from his soul to your soul when he spit? You feel me? Like these people that are scoring Tupac on a lyricist report card, they themselves don't have all those tools. So they don't understand how, dope and what level he was actually on, because they don't even understand that. Like we will be trying to, teach trigonometry to a kindergartner. That's what we basically doing when we sit around and we have a lot of debates and arguments about that shit. It's like you don't even know. You don't even know the techniques and the technical side of rapping. You don't even know what an inside rhyme is and an outside rhyme is and a slant rhyme is and an imperfect rhyme is. You don't even know that. So how are you qualified to speak on a man who has full-blown college courses surrounding his music? They have a college class where you can learn about Tupac and it's all his music. You can study it. Now, if your music is not being studied in a higher education, an institute of higher education, then you're probably not even really qualified to speak on that. And in T-Pain's case, I was just like, I just highly disagree with him. And I felt it really, really strange that he would say that, because in his own lane of auto-tune usage, he's the master. Like, when we came in and people were saying mumble rap because they couldn't understand what people were saying on autotune, you can understand everything T-Pain was saying. Crystal clear. Huh?
Roger Troutman, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Roger Troutman is the godfather of it all. But I'm saying you could understand T-Pain so clearly and his melodies and the way he wrote those songs that you would think that he would understand a little more. But I guess you got to be a technical MC to understand another technical MC. You know what I'm saying? So I was just surprised by that. And as far as, him getting killed, like, I don't speak on nothing like that because, we don't predict no man's downfall. We don't predict no man's death. To me, I stay away from that. That's not fly to me. You know what I mean? To say, hey, if this guy was alive now, he'd be dead. Hey, well, he's already resting in peace. Let's let him rest. You know what I'm saying? Let's let him rest. I just think that we live in a era where you got to say big and bold things to get headlines, clicks, and attention. If you want to get into algorithms today, let's talk bad about Tupac. Tomorrow, let's say Eminem sucks. The day after that, let's say Jay-Z is overrated. This is the way the algorithms work, and this is the way people work to get attention so you can pay attention to everything but the art. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's get back to paying attention to the art.
Okay. I'd always heard a rumor that there was discussions of Irv putting your album out and Suge putting a Ja Rule album out at the time. Did you ever hear of that? Was that ever in the plan?
Irv did tell me something about me coming out on Murder Inc. You know what I'm saying? That him and Suge had some sort of a idea, and I was with it. I'm like, all right, let's rock, because I was already on a couple Murder Inc. projects. You know what I mean? And I was at the studio when they was on the West Coast. I go down to the lab, chop it up, hang out, jump on something if needed. And they was moving through the game, you know what I'm saying? And in a powerhouse way. And they was embracing Suge and embracing, the roster. You feel me? So I was with it. Anything to put the music out, I was with it.
Okay. Can you tell me about what led to you finally deciding that it was time to go? That Death Row was not going to be the place to put your music out, basically, that it wasn't going to happen, and what led to that decision?
Well, I can't get too deep into it, but I will tell you that some things happened in my city. You know what I'm saying? And it was just like, yo, life is unpredictable. We don't know how much time we got here. You know what I'm saying? And after that happened, I was like, yo, man, I need to really make this music thing happen. And I don't know if it's going to happen on this label because I've been here for 4 years. And, it seems like they're putting up roadblocks for Suge. I felt like the unseen forces of the music industry were plotting to keep him from being able to flourish. And that would trickle down and affect me as an artist. Because if he can't flourish, I can't flourish. You know what I'm saying? So, throughout that 4 years, things were happening, whatever, but a certain incident went down. And after that incident, it kind of changed me. And I said, yo, I gotta go chase this dream down a little harder, or else I'm gonna end up a statistic. So it was time to go. You know what I'm saying? It was time to go, because when I look into my kids' eyes, I gotta be the one to protect their future. I gotta be the one to make sure that I leave them with something. You know what I mean? I gotta be the one to make sure that they got everything they need. And the only way that I want to do that is with music. You know what I mean? I could do it in other ways, but the way that I want to do it is with music. So it was just that time for me to just go ahead and pack it up, you know what I mean, and go see what I can make happen. You know what I'm saying? Because, like I said, rapping till you was 30 back then, that was a joke. We was like, ain't nobody rapping till they 30 years old. You know what I'm saying? So I gotta go. And I gotta use these last years of mine in my youth to make something huge happen that will change my life and my family's life. That's what the decision was about.
Okay. And then from Death Row, you start working with Joe Israel at Treacherous. Can you tell me how you got that deal and how that went down?
Um, so I didn't even know Joe was over there. You know what I'm saying? A couple of the owners of that label, well, the owner and his brother, you know, they did time with Joe. You feel me? So when they got out, they was like, yo, we want to do a label. And one of the brothers was like, yo, we need to get at Crook. That's the hardest motherfucker on the West. So I was like, somebody called me, was like, hey man, there's some guys out here that really interested in doing some stuff with you. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, okay. So let me go see what they talking about. And when I got there, Joe was there. He was like the vice president or something. And I already knew Joe. You know what I'm saying? Because Joe was instrumental in putting out that record we spoke about earlier. Uh-oh. You know what I'm saying? He was instrumental in my career back when I was a teenager, 19 years old. You know, 18, 19. So I already knew Joe. I had already met him. I didn't say I knew him. I had already met him. And we had talked and, you know, things of that nature. So when I got there, you know, Joe Iskro, the old man, you know what I mean? If anybody know about his history, then they know what I'm talking about. He was like, yo, Crook, it's been some years. And I was like, yeah, man. And, you know, mafioso style, you know, covering his mouth while he talking outside, you know what I'm saying? And he like, yeah, man, your reputation is impeccable, man. He was like, I call around and it seems like nobody has anything bad to say about you. And I said, well, that's a good thing, you know? And I said, that's a high compliment coming from you. I'm trying to keep it that way. And he was like, yeah, man, you know, come on over here. And then he did something that was really impressive. I had a guy with me, and I ain't going to say his name. But as soon as I went to the bathroom, he tried to get side deals cracking. You ever took somebody into a business meeting with you and they're just there, and then they're such an opportunist that as soon as you go to the bathroom, they try to get their own little deal cracking with the people that have, this is not what the meeting is for. And Joe told me, he pulled me to the side, he said, hey, that guy that's with you, I wouldn't be around him too much longer because he tried to get us to sign 3 other artists instead of you. And I was like, oh, wow. But I felt him on that. And I was like, all right, cool. And then, you know, the owner, the homie Tico, me and him connected right away. We started talking, and we just sat down in the office for like an hour, cracking jokes and laughing. And I connected with him, you know what I'm saying? And next thing you know, we was doing Treacherous Records, you know? And like I said, I learned so much of the industry at Death Row. And then before I got to Treacherous, you know what I mean, I was doing other stuff in the independent world. So I had got so much knowledge that they was like, yo, we want to give you an executive role here. And that was my first time having an executive role at a label. You know what I'm saying? And I had to sign off on people that they signed. A lot of people didn't know that though, because I didn't want it to be known. Because when you're an artist, it's a lot of competition in the building. So I didn't want them to think that just because I was an artist, I was not trying to support their projects as other artists on the roster. So they didn't know for a long time that I was, you know what I'm saying, an executive over there. But we ended up, you know what I'm saying, signing J.O. Felony to an album deal. Rest in peace, Big Psych. You know what I'm saying? We signed Nocturnal. Kxng, you know what I'm saying? 1-2, my man 1-2. And yeah, Tico, man, the CEO, he's just a real dude, man. He's just a real dude. And I still talk to him to this day. You know what I'm saying? I still talk to him to this day, man. It's just a solid individual. And we just, you know, we was just independent, man, trying to make it happen. Flying out to Miami, doing studio sessions with Scott Storch, you know what I'm saying, at the Hit Factory. You know what I mean? Getting treated like pieces of shit at the Trump Towers, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? It was a good time. I was in there, you know, Paris Hilton and Timberland and Puff and all of, you know, we was just in there making music, man. And I saw Irv while I was there too, doing all that. I saw Irv in Miami, man, and somebody said, "Joe, Crook right here." I had a table next to him, and somebody in his entourage was like, "He ain't on the road no more. Don't give him no love." And Irv was like, "Man, I love this young dude right here. I don't care about that, man. I love Suge. I love the road. I love Crook. It's all good. Crook, what's happening?" You know what I'm saying? And I just heard it, and I was like, "Yo, what's up, Irv?" You know what I mean? And I let it register that this dude's pretty solid right here, because you know that's not his anything. You know, it's just people go to different labels. But yeah, man, Treacherous was really good. I mean, that's where I started the Hip Hop Weekly series at, the series that changed it all. I kind of changed the way that people digest music today. I gave out a free song every week, once a week for a whole year. I dropped a free song once a week for a whole year. And I changed the way that hip hop digested music, because that was unheard of back then. Back then, you would do a mixtape and then an album. That was it. You would go away for a year and you would come back the next year. I was hitting them once a week. I was the first one to ever do that. I innovated that whole pattern, and it got me to the cover of XXL, got me on the cover of some other magazines, and it started a trend to where, you know, Kanye did, you know, Good Music Mondays. I mean, all the artists followed that trend that I set because they saw how successful I was with it. They saw that every time they turned around, because this is the music blog era, so they saw every time they turned around, my face was on that front page of the most poppin'est blogs once a week. And they was like, "Yo, we don't understand why he's dropping all this free music once a week, but we got to jump in because now it's making the fans develop an appetite for more music." And I'm sorry that I kind of contributed to the microwave generation that we got right now. The short attention span and all that kind of shit. I kind of contributed to it because I changed the trajectory of dropping music once a week, and people were like, "Yo, I can handle new music once a week," and that's what they started wanting from their favorite artists, and so their favorite artists started doing it. You know what I'm saying? And they give me my credit for it, you know, behind the scenes, of course. "Yo, man, your weekly series inspired me to do it weekly too," you know, and then, you know, they tell me, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, innovating that, all that happened at Treacherous Records, you know what I'm saying? And it's another chapter in my life. It's a classic series. So anybody say, you know, whenever did you ever drop a Blueprint? Did you ever drop an Illmatic? I dropped a weekly series. I changed the way music was digested on a weekly basis. I took the blog era to another level. It took me all around the world. It put me on the cover of XXL magazine, and it paid me every time I did the shows. So I made money off of it. I had a huge impact off of it. I set a trend with it. That's all the things that classic albums do, right? So I might not have a classic album in some people's opinion, but that series is hands down classic no matter what nobody say. You know what I mean? So that happened over there. So I had all this. I worked with Tupac at Death Row. You know what I mean? I learned game from Suge. I got my checks on time from Reggie. You feel me? I went to Treacherous. I did the weekly series. You feel me? We still got another down there 18, 17 years, bro. We still got 17 years that we need to catch up on. We ain't even talked about it, half the other shit. That's why I got these grays in my beard, Reggie.
Okay, can you tell me? Oh, can you tell me about the formation of Slaughterhouse? Because you guys put out the first album on E1, but can you tell me how the group came about and how that first album dropping on E1, how that experience was for you?
We was on a collision course. Slaughterhouse was on a collision course before it was Slaughterhouse. We was on a collision course. We was all about to probably end up going at each other if we didn't make a group. You know what I'm saying? Joe and Royce was already not seeing eye to eye. I think they had some songs jabbing each other already. You know what I mean? My little brother came to me. I was sitting in my Range Rover. My little brother came to me. He said, "Hey man, you gotta listen to this new bar exam tape from Royce the 5'9". I said, "Let me listen to it." I threw that shit in. I was like, "Damn, this motherfucker cold. I gotta do something about him." Because at the time I was running shit on the internet. Feel me? And I could feel them creeping up on me. Joe Budden was damn near the inventor of reality TV when it comes to fucking relationship drama, love and hip hop. He invented that shit with his own motherfucking jump off Joe Budden TV, having arguments with his girlfriend every day on the internet for the public to see. That was the blueprint for love and hip hop and all that shit. You see what I'm saying? So he was taking over the internet on that side. Royce was dropping his mixtapes, taking over the internet on that side. Joel Ortiz was dropping classics and getting signed to Aftermath all the way from Brooklyn. So I was like, yo, something's gonna happen here. Cause it ain't enough room at the top for all of us. And we at the top of the underground world. Not the mainstream world, the underground world. And there's a lot of good perks that comes with being at the top of the underground. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, damn, these motherfuckers are hard. And next thing you know, somebody called and was like, hey man, I want to do a song with all of y'all on the song. And I was like, let me think about it. Then somebody else called me, Nino Bless. And he said, hey man, Joe Budden is doing this song and he wants to get a guy from the West Coast on it. He already has Royce the 5'9" going to do it. And, Joel Ortiz and myself. And I said, okay, well shit. He's like, yeah, but he needed it in 24 hours. I said, no problem. I jumped in the car, went down to the studio, laid the verse, sent it to him. The song was called Slaughterhouse. And that's what gave, you know what I'm saying, birth to the group. Because once we did it, like I said, we were all having so much momentum on our own, on the internet, and just in the industry, that when we all came together, it broke the internet. And people were like, yo, hold up. These people, all these people on the same fucking joint. And we were like, damn, that kind of felt cool. Let's make another song. You know what I'm saying? So after that, they was like, let's make another song. I was like, all right, cool. They said, but this time let's do it together in the studio. All right, where y'all want to do it at? We're going to do it at Red Spider Studio. All right, where that's at? That's on the East Coast. Oh, shit. Okay. So I got on the airplane, went to Red Spider's studio. Everybody was looking at me like, he don't know. He just walked into the Lions Den because we just smacked this fucking song all the way around. I don't know what he's going to do. He can't survive this. And I walked in there without a pen and paper and jumped on the microphone and I started fucking shit up. Just like I always do. You know what I'm saying? Especially when the pressure is on. And I got in there and they looked around the room and they was like, holy shit. This motherfucker got off a plane from California, didn't write his rap, and smacked this beat all the way back to California. You feel me? And the energy was just good. Everybody was having fun. We was talking about what we could do as a group. We was talking about what we could do as a team. And it was all the same page. We was all on the same page. And that was the birth of Slaughterhouse.
Okay. And then in 2010, you guys start to negotiate with Eminem. Can you tell me how he got in contact with you guys and what the initial reaction was when you found out that this guy wanted the group on Shady Records?
Well, we were on E1, like you said. You know what I'm saying? We were on E1, and to be quite frank, E1 didn't really believe in the vision. They believed in it to a certain extent. Like, they believed enough to see that, hey, these dudes are making so much noise online and all that they could probably turn a profit for us if we just keep our, we come in low, and they could probably turn a profit for us. You know what I'm saying? But they didn't believe in the image. Like, some people up there were telling us, hey, you guys should make a whole album battling each other. Like, huh? What do you mean battling? No, we songwrite. Yeah, we know how to do that. But we songwriters though. We want to make an album full of songs, not battling each other. And they kind of shot low. So what ended up happening on E1 is we sold out of all the CDs in like 2 hours that they put. They didn't print up enough CDs. This is the hard copy era. That hurts your first week sales like a motherfucker. When you put out, you don't put out enough inventory out there. You feel me? Them CDs shot out of there like gone. All the Best Buys was empty. Then oh shit, we gotta go put some more CDs. We gotta sell some more. We gotta get some more CDs in the stores. We was hot. Phew, taking off. You know what I'm saying? And after that, they were like, it was a one album deal. So after that, they was like, y'all not coming back here, are y'all? After we dropped the ball and we didn't really believe that y'all could do what y'all did, y'all ain't coming back here, huh? You know what I'm saying? And I had love for Alan, you know what I mean? Because Alan used to always be like, he just always gave me some love, you know what I'm saying? So I had love for Alan Grunblatt, but it was just a situation to where we was like, yo, me and Royce already knew that Shady was the designated spot. We already knew that even when we was on E1. We knew that because we felt like people with heavy lyricists, a group focused on heavy lyricism should be on a platform, with a real lyricist at the helm like Marshall Mathers. We knew that M would get it. We knew that M would get us. We knew that if we wanted a real chance to really bar out in the mainstream, that was ever changing to simplified lyrics, and we wanted to still come in with our complex lyrics and our syllable play, then we needed to have somebody like Eminem backing us. You know what I'm saying? And, the funny thing about it is, M, he had heard this one song that we did, and he told me that was one of the deciding factors for him, signing the group. He heard this certain song and he was like, yo, they can make that kind of song. First of all, they can rap this well, but then they can turn around and make this kind of song that can have commercial success. I want to fuck with them. And that song was actually a song that DJ Khalil produced for me, my solo shit. But I had the foresight. I was like, yo, this would be dope on my motherfucking solo shit. But if I give this to Slaughterhouse right now, this shit is going to be crazy. And I did give it to Slaughterhouse, and the song is called The One, and we did a video to it, and we just like some fucking rock stars in the fucking video. And next thing you know, M is like, I want that group. Now, there were some other key factors that came into play, but he told me that was one of the deciding factors. You know what I'm saying? But that goes back to the conversation when I say I understand vibes. I know what the vibe needs to be on certain beats and certain, what groups. I knew Slaughterhouse would send that over the fence. You know what I mean? So I did it and followed my instincts, and next thing you know, I'm signing with Shady Records. I'm at the video shoot for Forever with Hype Williams and Eminem, and his staff is asking me, how does it feel to be about to be on Shady Records and you used to be on Death Row?
Okay, and you told the story one time about how Suge had called you one time, and like when he had heard that you were gonna be signing with Eminem, and basically said he was glad that you were gonna go over there. Can you tell me that story about him calling?
Yeah, man, it was I was at M's studio standing in the kitchen with a Red Bull in my hand. My phone rang. I pick it up. Crooked. I said, Suge? Yeah. What's going on? You know how Suge start laughing every time, you know what I'm saying? I was like, what's happening, Suge? He was like, I see you over there with the white boy. I said, yeah, man. He said, that's good. He said, because you one of the top lyricists, and M is a lyricist, and he's going to understand you. And you always needed somebody who could understand you. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, one thing you can count on, I'm never going to get in your way. I'm never going to try to stand in your way. I'm happy that you're over there. And I'm just sitting inside Eminem's studio with a can of Red Bull talking to Suge Knight. And it's all a testament to my career in my mind. Because how many people can say that they were recording with M one day, right off after they got off a phone call with Suge. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that that goes back to just being yourself and having integrity. You know what I mean? Just have integrity as an artist and just be yourself. You know, if I would have tried to be something that I wasn't around Suge, he wouldn't have respected me for that. And respect goes a long way. You know what I mean? Respect goes a long way, man. And he told me that, and I told him that. I was like, yo, Suge just said, you know what I'm saying, he just called to congratulate me on the deal. And they were blown away in there, in that studio. They couldn't believe that shit. They thought I was making that shit up.
Okay, just recently on the Breakfast Club, Royce the 5'9" said something about you bringing a bad deal to the table or something of that nature. Can you tell me what's the backstory with that? Like what he's talking about?
I mean, we just did an album, me and Joel Ortiz, called The Rise and Fall of Slaughterhouse. You know what I'm saying? Where we just musically told the story of the group's rise and fall from our own perspective. We kind of just wanted to talk to the fans of Slaughterhouse. It was an album made to talk directly to the fans. Okay, the other two members, they didn't like that, which we knew they wouldn't. We anticipated that, but before we did that album, I came to the table with a deal for Slaughterhouse. Now, keep in mind, it's 2022. The last official Slaughterhouse album came out in 2012. That's 10 years ago. So if you're going to do anything with the brand, I would think that you would do it before 10 years pass, 10 years pass. If you let a brand just sit for 10 years, I don't think you care about it. And I tried a lot, to get the group back together. Blind loyalty, you know what I'm saying? Let's get the guys back together. Let's get the band back together. All that. That was my energy. You feel me? And it was just blind loyalty to friendships. And you know what I mean? I couldn't get the picture. I wasn't able to fully see the picture that this wasn't never going to happen again. You know what I mean? And that there were clues, but like I said, loyalty and friendship will make you turn a blind eye to the clues and the hints if you allow it to. So I brought a deal to the table to call everybody bluff. Okay, y'all keep saying. First, Joe Budden, he said, yo, if we get off Shady Records, because he was having some, disagreements in the public with Shady Records. If we get off Shady Records as a group, we get an official release, I'll come out of retirement and rap with the group, which I never believed that. But, he said it. So I said, all right, cool. We all put in for the attorney. We got an official release from Shady Records. You know what I'm saying? Shady didn't try to hold us back or tell us, you owe us this amount of money and all that. You know what I'm saying? I think M and Paul Rosenberg were very gracious. You know what I'm saying? I think, it just didn't work. So we got out of the deal. About a year and some change passed. Crickets. I thought y'all said if we get out of the record deal, y'all go back in and make some Slaughterhouse music. We got fans sitting there asking us about music every single day. I can't even fucking tweet without them asking me about music. I can't post nothing on Facebook or Instagram without them asking me for music. Where y'all at with this? Oh man, we just got to find the time to get together. Yeah, I've been hearing that for 10 years. So I decided to call it bluff, man, and I went and found a great deal. A great deal. You know what I'm saying? One album deal. Okay? Ownership of masters. 7-figure advance. Not a 360. You know what I mean? We own all our merch rights, concert rights, our likeness and image. One album, 7-figure advance, ownership of masters. Nowhere near a 360. And I even got it in a channel because one of the members was having some issues with one of the big 5 distribution companies. I got the deal through a channel that was outside of that particular company. So they couldn't come in and do anything and try to strong arm anything. This is a whole new channel where I got this deal at. You know what I'm saying? And they didn't want to do it. You know, to Royce and Joe, you know, Joe like that. I don't want to do it. I don't like it. Well, what do you don't like about it? He wouldn't even give me a phone call to tell me what he didn't like about it. He wouldn't pick up the phone and call me. So you know what I did? I went on Twitter and I let our fans know, yo, I'm giving Slaughterhouse 48 hours to call me about a deal. If they don't call me, I'm never trying to do this shit again. I just put it in the public real quick so they could understand the gravity of this and so people could see it play out in real time. And I got a phone call from Royce. I got a phone call from Joel Ortiz, but Joe was still not calling because Joe, I guess he felt like, and this later on this came out, Crook always coming around with a deal. You know, my whole thing was either shit or get off the pot. Here's the deal. All we got to do is go rap 11 times on the song. Everybody walk away with some money. Fans walk away with some good art. And we close the chapter on this whole shit. Joe didn't want to do it. Royce didn't want to do it without Joe. The end. It's not even complicated. So once that went down, I came back to the table to Royce and said, yo, I went back up there. We could do a 3-man Slaughterhouse, just me, you, and Joel, since Joe is retired. Royce didn't want to do it. It's not Slaughterhouse without all 4. Okay, I feel you. You know, and that was the last time that I would ever speak on that type of shit ever happening again. Me and Joel went inside the booth and we start telling our truths. And we was living in our truth. And the other 2 reacted to it as if we went in there and did no Vaseline, bomb first, hit them up, and ether. That's how they reacted to it. So now, that album came out, I think, sometime in March or something like that. I don't know. And then now, you know, Royce he has a greatest hits album that he's promoting. And he's making his rounds. And, you know, he stopped at the Breakfast Club. And he said, yo, Crook brought a bad deal to the table. You know what I'm saying? And we didn't want to do it. And then I heard his manager say, you being nice, man. He brought a real fucked up deal to the table or something in that order. You know, and his manager wasn't even there because him and Royce weren't even working together at the time. So how do you know what the deal is, my brother Keno? You don't know, my brother. So I get it. You got to stick your neck out for your man. Y'all working together again, that's fine. You know what I'm saying? And then, yo, I didn't do a bad deal. So my only problem with that is you can say whatever you want to say, right? It's a free country. But don't attack my business reputation because I'm currently out here doing business. And if you're willing to get on a platform as big as the Breakfast Club and say stuff like that attacks or could possibly harm my business reputation, are you willing to go into those offices where you got some juice and pull and say that type of shit? Are you willing to? What are you whispering about throughout this industry? Because I do A1 business. I'm transparent. I make sure everybody eat. If I bring something to the table, I'm making sure that it's a win-win for everybody. And I mean the people who are involved on the investment side, or if I'm involved on the investment side, I want everybody to walk away happy, period. That way we could do some more business later. You know what I'm saying? So I never bring a bad deal to the table. And it was just, you know, it's unfortunate. But, hey, when you're out there on the promo run, people going to ask you questions. I opened the door for that when I dropped Rise and Fall to Slaughterhouse, you know. I knew that was coming. You feel me? So I ain't too much tripping. But, yeah, Charlemagne was, you know, he saw what it was. Charlemagne was like, yo, Joe wasn't going to rap. And then, you know, everybody know Joe ain't gonna rap. I just wish Royce would figure that out.
Okay. You need to take a break? Okay. Can you tell me about your reaction when you saw or read the news that Snoop had purchased Death Row, not only just the name at first, but then he got the masters and the catalog? And if so, after you tell me that, can you tell me if he's reached out to you in any way about your music that's over there?
I was happy for Snoop when that happened because I felt like it was a full circle moment. Like if somebody is gonna own Death Row, why not be somebody who helped build it? You know what I mean? If somebody's gonna own Death Row, why not be somebody who helped to build the label? Because it dropped in so many people's hands, so to speak. Like we don't know on the outside. I don't know the paperwork. I don't know the contracts. I don't know none of that. Reggie probably know that way more than I know that. If he does know that more than I know that. But from the outside looking in, it was looking crazy when Wide Awake owns Death Row. Like who the fuck is Wide Awake? You know what I'm saying? No disrespect to Wide Awake, but we talking about some historic shit right here. Who the fuck is Wide Awake owning Death Row? And then, they said the Hasbro company, purchased the whole E1 or something, and somehow Hasbro owned Death Row. And it's like, how the fuck does Hasbro own Death Row? Like, what the fuck is going on? So when it comes to a headline that says Snoop Dogg buys Death Row, now we talking. That's a better place for it to be, especially after I spoke with Snoop and he was like, yo, I talked to Suge and blah, blah, blah. So, him and Suge, I don't know where they are. I'm not going to speak for those two men, but they seem to be in a better place. You feel me? So him buying it just made me feel like, yo, that's dope. And he hasn't reached out to me. Nobody has reached out to me since Wide Awake. When Wide Awake bought it, they reached out to me about Hood Star. They wanted to put out an album and call it Hood Star. I was on Treacherous at the time, and I told them I would participate for $1 million. They laughed, and they said they didn't want to do it, and I was like, all right, cool. You know what I'm saying? And I haven't heard from anybody else who purchased Death Row. Snoop Dogg, I ain't heard from Snoop. You know what I'm saying? But I wish him all the luck in the world, man. I hope that he could turn, bring it back. Not even bring it back because times have changed. We're in the NFT Web3 era. You know what I'm saying? So, whatever he does with it, hopefully it's the next chapter of Death Row, something successful, and everybody over there is happy and eating. You know what I mean? Because, like I said, man, it's history, man. It's one of the greatest hip-hop labels of all time.
Okay. Speaking of the Hood Star album that Wide Awake put out, um, outside of the business aspect of it, of them wanting to get you to promote it, and you named your price, they don't want to do it. What did you think of the album itself? Was it in any way close to what Say Hi to the Bad Guy was going to be, or not close at all?
It was almost there. It had some shit on there that was dope. I'm not gonna front. It had some shit on there that was dope, and some of my fans like that shit. You know what I'm saying? It just would have been different if Say Hi to the Bad Guy, because it's timing, it's energy. A lot of that goes into the music release. It's not just about what you're hearing. It's about what's going on surrounding the project. What kind of energy is surrounding the project? How does the rollout look? You know what I'm saying? What is all these, the media, the press run? It's so many different layers when you put out an album. You just drop something out there and put it on a website and say, here guys, go get it. There's no visuals to it. There's nobody to break down the reason I wrote this song, I wrote that song. There's no backstory to any of the production. It's just a piece of product that's out there, and you hoping that the core fans will just go get it just because. You know what I'm saying? So when I look at an album, to answer your question, when I look at an album, I look at the many different aspects of an album. I don't just look at the music, and I look at, the rollout, I look at the marketing, I look at the visual content attached to it. You know what I'm saying? I'll just look at everything on a whole, and it was missing so many of those things. So, I didn't really want to support that. You know what I'm saying?
One second, let me just get my file real quick.
You said 1 second?
Yeah.
I got him.
My AirPods died, so I gotta do it with the regular mic.
Mm-hmm. Come on, man. You ain't that fancy, baby. Let's get it. Is them skateboards on the back or surf? What is that? Surfboards or skateboards? Decks.
Skateboard.
Got the decks back there, huh?
Yeah.
How long you been skating?
I started skating when I was like 7,
Damn.
and probably like 2 years ago, I broke my heel bone.
Oh shit.
Skating like an idiot. I wasn't skating. I
Oh.
wasn't doing anything like that. I was doing graffiti shit, and I was
Ah.
coming off. Yeah, it was stupid.
Damn.
But,
Yeah, man.
So I can't skate anymore. Long story short.
Not no more. It's over.
Nah, yeah, it's over. And
Damn.
I do crazy things for rehab or something, but
Damn.
I don't have it anymore like that, so where I can spend the energy on it. But it's fine.
Man, I used to have a Tony Hawk back in the 90s. One of them Tony Hawk skateboards back in the early. No, that was probably like, damn, that's probably in the 80s, bro. Shit. Getting old out here. In the 80s. Had the Tony Hawk on them. But yeah, I'm ready. You ready?
Okay, yep, ready.
Let's get it.
Reggie and Kenya Ware had told us about the health incident that happened with Big Style lately, as far as the situation that he was in. Are you aware of this, and do you have any update on how he's doing that you could speak on?
I talked to Big Style, you know what I'm saying? Well, we text. And I just told him, he had gotten into a bad car accident, and I told him, like, God is good. When you get out of there, do everything that you ever wanted to do, man. You know what I'm saying? Because he got a lot of ideas he want to put into motion, and he works towards them and all that. And I'm like, yo, see them through, bro. Because life is unpredictable. I've had health scares, and I was sitting in hospitals with wires plugged up into me, and you know what I mean? And when you in those kind of situations, you understand the value of life, and I just want him to get up off the bed and go do that documentary he's working on, put it out, make it a success. The music that he's dealing with, you know what I mean? Go do that. You know what I mean? Do what make you happy. But yeah, I had a feeling that they wasn't going to be able to take Big Style that easy.
Okay, we do this thing usually in our interviews where we'll do like a roll call where I'll name like an artist or somebody that was around and just try to get like a first memory or impression of them. Are you cool to do that?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Can we start with Snoop?
To me, when you say Snoop, I think about somebody with a style that's fresh. That's, you know what I'm saying? Like back in the day, you would say somebody had flavor. You know what I'm saying? Like when I think about Snoop, I just think about the voice. I think about the smoothness, it's just a whole nother experience. It's a real cool and calm gangster shit type vibe, but it's cool and calm. It's laid back. And I guess I think of styles first. I think of him stylistically. But when I think about him on a personal level, I think about being in Atlanta when they gave him a Lifetime Achievement Award. And I was on business down there, so I decided to pull up. And I was sitting in the back, just like this, smoking. That's an excuse for me to take another drag. But I was sitting in the back, and Snoop came walking out. And I said, "What's happening, man?" And I hadn't seen him in about a year or two. And I said, "Man, they just gave you all your flowers in that building, man, in front of all the celebrities in the world. They talked about your legacy. They talked about your accomplishments. They thanked you for your achievements and your contributions. How does that feel?" And he said, "It feels wonderful. It feels good. It feels incredible, Crook." And then he took a pull off his joint, and he was like, "You was there from the beginning." And I was like, "Yeah, damn near." And he said, "All that shit that they talked about, you was right there." And I was like, "Yeah." And then Lil Uzi Vert walked out. And Snoop said, "Uzi, come here. Let me introduce you to Long Beach legend Crooked." And I felt like I got an achievement award when he said that. You feel me? Because we want acknowledgement for what we do. We want acknowledgement for the work we put in, all the nights we stay up. I done drug fucking suitcases through cobblestone streets of Budapest after this hip hop shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you want your peers to acknowledge you. And when he said, meet this Long Beach legend, Crook, and Vert was like, y'all know what's up with Crook? You know what I'm saying? After getting his Lifetime Achievement Award, it was like the barbershop props on steroids. You feel me? It meant a lot to me in that moment, especially after all we had been through. And we both came off the death row tree, you know?
Okay. What about Suge?
Suge?
Mm-hmm.
Champagne Benz with suede interior. That's the first thing I think about. Champagne Benz with suede interior. You know what I'm saying? I think about that. I think about the time we went to his house in Vegas after he got out. And it seemed like a ghost town. Nobody was in there. And he started blowing dust off of shit. Dust just flying up in the air. That's how, it was unoccupied. And he hit a button and a TV just come out the ceiling. You know what I'm saying? And Ja Rule and Irv came by. And we was standing in the parking in the driveway. And he was talking about all the money he's just spent on the 3 whips that was sitting out there. And somebody said, if you ain't got them kind of whips, you ain't rapping right. That's what they told me. And I remember that to this day. Like, they was like, yo, if you ain't got them kind of whips, you ain't rapping right. And I was like, wow. I'm sitting here with Ja Rule, he number one. Sitting here, Suge, fresh out, just bought over $1 million worth of cars. I'm about to fuck the game up. That was always my thoughts. I'm about to fuck the game up. I still think like that. I still think like that. I'm about to fuck the game up right now. You know what I'm saying? But I think about that. I think about Suge, you know what I'm saying, in Hawaii. You know what I mean? I think about us all going to Hawaii, man. And Ray J there. You know what I'm saying? And Keisha Cole there. You feel me? Buntry, rest in peace. You know what I mean? And we just parlaying in Hawaii, the Death Row crew. And we was out there living like we platinum already. We ain't sold one fucking record, not this roster. You know what I'm saying? But we was out there like we super platinum artists. You know what I'm saying? Let me rent that Corvette with no top on it. Let me push that down the motherfucking blocks of Maui. You know what I mean? 4 Seasons, hotel in New York. You know what I'm saying? Motherfucking Jay-Z coming to visit Suge, knocking on my door. After he talked with Suge, knocking on my door saying, yo, Crook, Suge just played me your album. It's phenomenal. Don't never look back. You got it. As a young artist looking at Jay-Z and all his accomplishments, him saying that to me right there. And then about 10 minutes later, Nas pulled up on Suge. And we talking to Nas. And they got the Takeover Ether beef going on at that exact time. They only missed each other by minutes. But they both came to say what up to Big Suge. You know what I'm saying? In New York. That's what I think about. I think about the time we was on Jimmy Kimmel and I was freestyling. You know what I mean? And we sat on that couch and we had fun and we talked about the new album and the possibilities. I think about all that type of shit when I think about Suge. You know what I'm saying? Those are the memories that I think about. I think about seeing his moms. Seeing his moms on the north side of Long Beach at the gas station. You know what I'm saying? On Bellflower. And walking up, because I'm hanging out at the apartments right there next to the fucking gas station. I'm hanging out with the homies. And I look over and I'm off death row for years. And a couple years. And I'm like, yo, that's Suge mom's right there. And I didn't tell them that. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, I don't know what's in the minds and hearts of everybody. So, you know what I mean? I ain't tell them that. But that's what I thought. I'm like, yo, that's Suge mom. I walk over. Hey, Miss Knight, what's going on? She say, Crook. I say, yeah, it's Crooked Eye. She's like, oh, what's up? I was like, you need me to pump that gas? You know what I'm saying? And she said, hey, you know he love you, right? And I said, yeah, I think so. And she said, he love you. And I was like, well, you know what? I got love for him too. You know what I mean? And then she drove off, and my homie's like, who was that you was talking to? I was like, somebody I know.
Okay. What about Corrupt?
The lyrical assassin, Corrupt Young Gotti. When I think about Corrupt, I think about Sup Fred, boom, 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 niggas with hepatitis. You know what I'm saying? That's what I think about. I think about calling out names, because every time they would have talk about Ether, Takeover, Hit 'em Up, No Vaseline, calling out names in the top 10, man. I don't care. Y'all better start mentioning calling out names, you know what I'm saying? But I just think about somebody who was unafraid to rap with people that could rap well. Because I come up in an industry where people will not even give you a verse back if you give them a verse too strong. You know what I'm saying? If you give them a piece of art that's just too strong and they don't feel like they can match that intensity, they just won't even send it back. They'll just duck your phone calls for 6 months. You feel me? But Corrupt was never like that. Corrupt was like, yo, come on, let's rap. He's a straight gladiator MC. He don't care. You know what I mean? Let's do it. And he gave me my first shot on a big album. Big Style. Well, Chucky Miller gave me my first shot, then Big Style on another level, and then Corrupt on another level. When he put me on Streets as a Mother, I was a kid living on Linden in a 2-bedroom apartment with my kids and my baby mama. You know what I'm saying? And I was catching the bus, the number 5 Long Beach Boulevard bus. I had just scraped up enough money to buy me a Chevy Beretta and put a little kicker box in that bitch. And when I went over there and to the studio and he said, you're going to be on this album, I said, yo, man, that's beautiful, man. Because Corrupt was everything to the lyricist community. He was everything come on, man, Corrupt the Kingpin, period. You know, and when he put me on that album, he gave me a shot, and he didn't treat me like the other artists did that was scared to rap with me. You know, and I really respected him for that, and I always tell him that. He probably tired of me telling him that. Right now, today, when I go to a show or something like that, I'll be like, man, thank you for that shot you gave me, dog. I really appreciate that shit. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's what I think about when I think about Corrupt. I think about one of the most dangerous MCs on the microphone that people don't give his flowers. They don't give him enough flowers. Corrupt is one of the most dangerous MCs to touch it. When he was in his super prime, they wasn't fucking with Corrupt.
Okay. What about Daz?
Daz Dilly. When I think about Daz, I think about some boots. It was some boots in the corner at his house. He had just put a SSL board in his house. And it was some boots. I said, man, who boots is them? He said, them Tupac boots. I said, for real? He's like, yeah, them Tupac boots over there. And I was like, what you doing with Tupac boots over there? You know what I'm saying? And he was like, Tupac had passed. And he was like, no, I just want a piece of them in here with me. And I said, damn, that's dope. You know what I'm saying? That's dope. You know what I mean? When I think about Daz, I think about, party rap at first. You rock the party all night long till the early morning. You know what I mean? I think about that. And then, his progression into being more of an aggressive MC on the mic. You know what I mean? And then I think about his beats. And I think about him being underrated as a producer when people talk about West Coast producers. You know what I'm saying? When people talk about producer rappers, they always talk about Kanye West as a producer/rapper. When they talk about who's the best producer-rapper combinations, you're going to hear DJ Quick for sure, because he is, You hear Kanye West, you rarely hear Daz. And he is a producer-rapper, and his resume is crazy. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like, he should get more of his props. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I think about. I don't even think about the other shit. It just crossed my mind that I'm giving him a lot of credit right now, and to a person that, at one time we wasn't seeing eye to eye because of some death row shit that we was going through, and it was probably more so people around him. You know what I mean? But we kind of started together. I know they came in the game a little bit before me, and then I was right after them. You know what I'm saying? And I was in those studio sessions when some of them classics was getting made. You feel me? And I saw some of them championships they brought home for sure. You know? So I feel like Daz don't get his proper respect when it comes to being a producer rapper combo. You know what I mean? Like, he's one of them ones, man. You know? Who else could say Dr. Dre taught them how to run the drum machine? You know what I'm saying? Like, he one of them ones.
Okay. And speaking of Dre, what about Dre for the next one?
I think about Dr. Dre, man. I think about the GOAT. I think about the GOAT of West Coast production. You know what I'm saying? That's what I think about when I think about DRE. I think about the swap meet times, you know what I mean? 2 turntables. The DJ. I think about the Wrecking Crew. Turn out the lights, you know? I think about Arabian Prince. I think about NWA and the Posse. I think about Easy. I think about, you know, DOC. No one could do a better album that's just probably one of the best debut albums ever. You know what I'm saying? I think about Dr. Dre being behind the boards at Death Row Records. I think about the first time that I really heard Tupac with Dr. Dre, because I was a big Tupac fan since he was on Digital Underground's joint, same song. That's how long I was a Tupac fan. I didn't come over to Tupac and be a fan of his music just because he was on Death Row fucking with the West Coast like that, the Southern Cali like that, Compton like that. I was fucking with him when he was fucking around in the Bay. You know what I'm saying? And to hear him on a Dr. Dre beat was something that I was waiting on. When I found out that he was going to be on Death Row Records, I was like, oh shit, this is about to be crazy because he's about to have access to a Dr. Dre fucking beat. And when they did that Cali Love and all that other shit, man, it's like, yo, you know, the blind stares of a million pairs, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, this shit about to be stupid over here now. You know what I'm saying? So Dr. Dre, to have, to me, the reason why I think about the GOAT is because to me he got 3 championship rings. Like, some people got 1. You know, you got somebody who got Bad Boy. You got somebody who got, you know, Rockefeller. You got somebody who got, you know, Cash Money, No Limit. This man was instrumental in Ruthless Records, Death Row Records, Aftermath Records. That's a 3-ring type of trio right there. You know what I'm saying? Like, you talking about from Ice Cube being instrumental to a person like Ice Cube's career, being instrumental to a person like Eazy's career, all the way up to Snoop. We all know. I don't gotta name him. You know what I'm saying? He's one of the GOATs, man, and it's really cool that, you know, I'm in a space right now where it's like, yo, I can just call him up and get advice on things sonically. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? Pick his brain. I would do the same thing if Suge was on. You know what I'm saying? But that's the thing, man. It's like, yo, we all come from the same tree almost. You know what I'm saying? We almost, somehow, some way, we come from the same tree. And Dre is the GOAT. You know what I'm saying? I don't put no other hip-hop producer over Dr. Dre. I just don't. I don't care who came in there and made the beat with him. I don't give a fuck about none of that, because when y'all by yourself, y'all shit don't sound like it sound like when you come in there with him. He got that ear. And people need to start putting more respect on people's ears. You know what I'm saying? Because I was in there writing some shit with Dr. Dre one day, and I was like, and I know I'm a technical wizard. And I was like, yo, boom, 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 boom. And he came up to me and said, yo, what if you approached it with this cadence? Da, 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 da. I was like, yo, that shit sound raw. So that's what I'm talking about. He's like the Quincy Jones of this hip hop shit. Straight out. You know what I'm saying? Flat out.
Okay. Last one, Eminem.
Marshall Mathers. Marshall Mathers is one of the coolest super duper stars I ever fucking met in my life. The dude has sold more records than anybody in the history of hip hop, and he's down to earth. He don't do all the Hollywood political games and all of the the bullshit that you deal with people who are far less successful as him. That's what I respect about Marshall, man. When I think about Marshall, I think about that, and then I think about hip-hop, because me and him was two hip-hop nerds. That's what we talk about. When I get to talking to Marshall, I know I could talk to him about a Redman verse that dropped 30 years ago, and he going to know exactly what verse I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? I know I could talk to him about some obscure album from Lakim Shabazz or somebody from, you know, down south that nobody ever heard of before. He gonna know what I'm talking about, because we super hip-hop almanacs with this shit. You know what I'm saying? So me and him, we just have those conversations. We could talk for 2 hours just about hip-hop. Just about, nigga, you remember that one album when dude said blah, 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 blah? Yeah, you know, we get on that vibe with each other. But other than that, you know, he gave me a chance, man. Just like Suge. There's a reason why I don't talk negative, you know what I'm saying, about people that I've, you know, come across in my music journey. There's a reason, you know what I mean? And the reason is Suge Knight tried to help me and my family eat. Suge Knight tried to help me and my family eat. See, a lot of these artists, they never really been in the trenches and risked their freedom to help their family eat. They never done that. So they don't understand when somebody comes to the table and helps you and your family eat and pay bills. They giving you one more day that you don't gotta be going out of state with that thing in the fucking trunk. That you ain't gotta be going out of state trying to do something behind the scenes because you trying to keep your motherfucking family afloat while you chase your rap dreams. They don't understand that life. So they don't be real gratitude. They don't have gratitude. They don't be grateful. I'm grateful that he tried to help me and my family eat. And for a certain amount of time, he was helping us eat. We was eating. I'm always salute that. Same with Marshall Mathers. I'm always salute that. I'm not going to go back and bad talk Eminem because I got released from Shady Records. No, I still talk to Marshall today. Even with the release, I could call him right now. You know what I'm saying? Because I got motherfucking gratitude that you tried to help me and my family get to another motherfucking level. But I understand now that a lot of people that's out here, they backbiting and talking about people that helped to feed them and all this other shit, gave them opportunities. They all forget about that shit. They get amnesia all of a sudden. They get on some brand new shit and want to talk shit about people and never mention the good stuff that people did for them. But I'm never going to be that type of person because I've been in the trenches before. I know what it's like. I know what it's like to do some shit that you really don't want to do that's against your nature, but you gotta do it so you can put that fucking food on the table. You know what I'm saying? And I know what it's like for somebody to give you a helping hand so you don't have to ever do that again. So I just got too much respect for Marshall in that regard, Paul Rosenberg in that regard, Suge Knight in that regard, Reggie Wright in that regard. You feel me? Like the people that I come across, and then they say, man, Irv out here tripping. But guess what? I don't know what Irv doing. All I know is that Irv gave me a shot. All I know is that Irv treated me well. So I'm going to always salute that. Period. That's how I'm cut.